After my divorce, I dove headfirst into my acting career. My ex-husband and I had no contact, except for the agreed-upon weekly time I spent with our kid. That was until I stumbled upon Tom's social media account. Turns out, he'd become a parenting influencer with 1 million followers. Over 3 years, I watched him expertly change diapers and bottle feed our baby, transforming our babbling infant into a well-behaved, angelic son. In his latest video, our son asked, "Why can't mom spend every day with me like you do?" Tom paused for a moment, then earnestly told him, "Because she's herself first, then your mom." I traced the screen, quietly feeling a flutter in my heart. I had a kid, got divorced. It felt like the end of the story, but that's when I actually started falling for this guy. Tom and I had an arranged marriage, a business deal, and even after 2 years, we barely knew each other. I was just starting to make a name for myself in acting when my dad cut off all my resources, practically sidelining me. I had no choice but to go along with his plan and agree to the marriage. Tom was the best option. He wasn't interested in romance but needed an heir. We agreed to divorce once we had a child. To get back to filming as soon as possible, I spent every night in bed with him. Our bodies were hot and tangled, but our hearts were cold and distant. After countless intense nights, we'd turn away from each other. Soon after, I gave birth to a boy. After consulting with a renowned master to get his birth chart analyzed, Tom named him William. He really cared about our son, and that was enough. When William turned 1, we went and got our divorce papers. I'm not sure how Tom explained it to his family, but they didn't object. In fact, his mom even looked at me with a hint of sympathy and guilt. She promised that his family would do their best to support my career and always have my back. Of course, I graciously accepted. Honestly, Tom was a dutiful husband and father. As for my dad, since Tom was the one who initiated the divorce, and we'd had a child that solidified the alliance between our families, he couldn't control me anymore. He just stayed quiet for a long time, then calmly said, "Diana, you're just as heartless as your mom." Heartless? My mom was a top ballerina in the country back then, with a promising future. But she was forced to give up her career and marry my dad. The difference was, she'd secretly liked my dad for years, so it was somewhat her wish come true. My dad's family had traditional, old-fashioned values, and he'd received an elite education, so he always had a businessman's mindset, prioritizing profit. He wanted his wife to manage the household and raise the kids, not be out in the public eye. After my mom married him, her vibrant, playful spirit slowly faded, leaving only the shell of a graceful and proper wife. After I was born, I became her only emotional support. That was until my dad demanded she have another boy to inherit the family business, and my mom just stared at him, asking, "What about our daughter?" He replied as if it were obvious, "Of course, she'll have an arranged marriage. That's her responsibility for enjoying a privileged life. Our marriage was like this too, wasn't it? You should have been prepared." In that moment, her last shred of hope for him shattered completely. She finally realized how ridiculous it was to give up her career for him. So, she refused to let me repeat her past. My mom disregarded everyone's objections and resolutely chose divorce. The day she left the country, 5-year-old me cried, asking if she didn't want me anymore. She crouched down, looking at me with a sad yet gentle gaze. "Sweetie, you'll be my only child in this life. I only love you, and I'll support you unconditionally. I'm not leaving you, Mom just wants to live for herself this one time. You'll understand when you grow up." She stepped back onto the stage, sparkling, and the whole world cheered for her. Several times, my dad would freeze for a long time while pouring tea, seeing her smile on TV, completely oblivious even when the tea overflowed the cup. She taught me by example to never give up my career for anyone. Of course, I loved William. I carried him for 10 months. Even with the sleepless nights from pregnancy after effects, seeing him as a tiny bundle sleeping peacefully would melt my heart. But he wasn't my entire life. I had my own dreams and aspirations. I made the same choice as my mom, and I completely understood her. But he would be my only child, and my mother's love would never be absent. This was also my agreement with Tom. On the day we got divorced, his only request was that I set aside time each week to visit our child at the family home, or at least video call if I couldn't make it. I agreed without hesitation, knowing it was my duty as a mother. I just never imagined he'd care so much about our kid that he'd become a parenting influencer. During our 2 years of marriage, we barely interacted outside the bedroom, and I wasn't really interested in his private life. So, when I accidentally stumbled upon his video, I was stunned for a long time. It turned out that in the year after I had William and was busy getting back in shape, taking acting classes, and keeping up with the industry, Tom had taken over the nanny's duties. He personally changed diapers, fed him formula, and put him to sleep, allowing me plenty of time to rest when I got home. I just thought the nanny was doing a thorough job, but I overlooked the dark circles under Tom's eyes. Once I started following Tom's account with a burner profile, I couldn't help but spend more and more time watching him. Not only did Tom meticulously handle William's daily needs, but he also raised him incredibly well. Every time we met, the first thing William would say when he rushed into my arms was, "Mommy, you work so hard." He showed no resentment or distance towards my busy schedule, only understanding and respect. Even if he didn't want to leave me, he'd just say with watery eyes that he'd miss me every day. This level of maturity and good behavior was definitely thanks to Tom's constant guidance and instilling values in him. He never brushed off William's wild emotions and questions, but instead responded thoughtfully, breaking down how the world works and teaching him. He encouraged him to read classics and study history, which is why our 3-year-old son already understands so much about dealing with people. The comments section was often filled with remarks like, "I lived most of my life before understanding this, and he gets it at 3. Parenting is truly crucial." Some people also wondered, why isn't there any trace of the mom in the videos? Tom would reply, "In our family, the woman handles outside work, and the man handles inside work. Mom earns the money, and I take care of the kid." Many people became his fans, and his mysterious wife was often envied. "You lucky girl, after a busy day out, you come home to a husband and angelic son warming your bed. You must be grinning from ear to ear, right? Seriously, congrats. Natural birth is no match for convenience. Aren't we advocating for kids? I'll take this one, I'm willing to pick him up myself." Even though that's not exactly how it was, those comments sometimes made my face flush. When I saw the phrase husband material, the first image that popped into my head was Tom in a black high-neck cashmere sweater, frying steak in the kitchen. Every time I went back to the family home, he'd cook a huge spread, all our sons and my favorites. I was surprised but never asked, since he's always been a very thoughtful and proper person. Tom was best at teaching by example. At the amusement park, he'd hold the essentials like wet wipes and a thermos in one hand, while using the other to hold a parasol for me, and he'd even have our son carry my bag. When I tried to refuse, he'd explain that it was so William could learn by observation and develop habits of caring for and respecting women. As I repeatedly marveled at his thoughtfulness and thoroughness, our distance gradually closed without me even realizing it, as if we were becoming a real family. And he quietly began to occupy a corner of my heart. After finishing a sunglasses ad shoot, I was in the car, catching up on his latest video on my tablet. In the video, William's eyes were a bit red. "My desk mate's mom drops her off and picks her up every day. Why can't my mom be with me every day like you are?" Tom paused, then earnestly told him, "Because she's herself first, then your mom. She's an independent individual, and everyone has dreams to fulfill. Just like your dream is to become a successful entrepreneur, if your mom and I didn't support you and made you give up that dream and follow our plans, would you be happy?" William sniffled and shook his head. "No, I wouldn't be happy. By the same logic, you can't ask mom to give up her dreams just to revolve around you. As her family, we should support her, right?" Our son quickly cheered up, his face beaming again. He hugged Tom affectionately. "Then Dad, don't you have a dream?" Tom's voice was steady and low. "I want to be the tallest tree in the forest, watching you and your mom fly high and far like free eagles. When you get tired of flying, the first thing you'll see is me, and you can safely land on my branches." I'll shelter you from the wind and rain until you're full of energy for your next journey. Every word he spoke landed clearly and powerfully in my ears, pounding like a drum in my heart. I traced the screen, quietly feeling the flutter spreading through my chest. I had a kid, got divorced. It felt like the story was over, but that's when I actually started falling for this guy. Back at the hotel, I held my phone, hesitating for a long time before finally dialing. When I heard his familiar voice, my heart skipped a beat. I, who was usually poised in front of any camera, felt as flustered as a lovesick teenager in this private space. My voice was a little hoarse. Is William asleep? Tom didn't answer right away. That's when I noticed it was already 10 o'clock at night, and William went to bed promptly at 9:30. Oh, sorry, I just saw the time. My apologies, I just missed my kid a bit. The clumsy excuse made me blush and scratch my hot face. I could see them at the family home tomorrow, anyway. But right then, I just really wanted to hear his voice, that's all. Well, I won't bother you then. Goodbye. He seemed to chuckle softly, his voice gentle. See you tomorrow. Those 3 short words inexplicably carried a hint of intimacy, like 2 people in a budding romance eagerly anticipating their next date. My face flushed, and I hastily hung up. My calmed heartbeat started to pick up again. I tossed and turned all night, my mind buzzing with excitement. The next day, when the booth's driver came to pick me up, I wore sunglasses. At the family home, Tom's parents, who had been traveling abroad, were also back. His mom noticed the faint shadows under my eyes and asked with concern, "Have you been working too hard filming lately? You need to rest." Tom looked over when he heard her. The moment our eyes met, I turned my head away. I didn't want him to see me looking so awful at that moment. I just didn't sleep well last night, it's fine. I'll go play with William for a bit first. I got up and practically fled. His parents exchanged a look, then sided with each other. Tom, did you upset her again? I was playing with building blocks with William in the toy room. He suddenly asked me, "Mommy, did Daddy do something wrong?" I was startled. Why do you say that? Because Daddy looks so fidgety today, just like my desk mate when he gets a 0 on a test and is scared to go home. William sighed, sounding like an old man. Even though Daddy can be a bit silly sometimes and talks back to Grandpa, can you please not yell at him for my sake? I was a bit surprised and about to ask more when Tom's voice came from the doorway. William, what bad things are you saying about me now? William instantly looked innocent. Nothing, Daddy. I was saying good things about you. Ask Mommy if you don't believe me. Tom's gaze shifted to my face, and he cleared his throat. William really likes butter cookies lately. I'm about to bake some. Want to take some home? I nodded instinctively. He said okay and turned to the kitchen. A little while later, William got sleepy and went down for his nap. After I closed his bedroom door, I went to the kitchen. Tom was wearing a dark apron, standing tall, his sleeves rolled up, revealing a glimpse of his forearms with faint veins. He was completely focused on mixing the butter and powdered sugar. I stood at the doorway for a long time, then couldn't resist striking up a conversation. Do you need any help? His back stiffened for a second, but when he turned around, he was composed again. No, you go rest. It'll be ready soon. I tried to act natural, suppressing the awkwardness of not knowing what to do with my hands. I actually want to learn. He paused, and a smile appeared in his eyes. Okay, I'll teach you. But my erratic heartbeat made my hands a bit clumsy. He looked at my face, which was comically covered in flour, and said helplessly, maybe I should just do it. I just wanted to get out of there and didn't notice the egg I'd dropped on the floor. My foot slipped, and I was about to fall face first when I instinctively closed my eyes and grabbed Tom. Unexpectedly, he fell before me. I landed on top of him, completely unharmed, except our lips were pressed together. Tom's light-colored pupils constricted, and his long eyelashes fluttered uncontrollably. His ears suddenly turned red. My first thought was that even though we had a kid, he was still so innocent. Tom, you. His mom happened to walk in at that moment and instantly went speechless. I immediately scrambled up, waving my hands frantically. No, we. She didn't say anything, just clutched her chest and quietly closed the kitchen door for us, walking away much faster than usual. I didn't even dare to look at Tom, who was frozen like a statue, mumbled sorry and ran off. Back at my apartment, I finally dared to breathe deeply. The next day, the driver brought my tablet, which I'd left at the family home yesterday, along with a box of butter cookies. My assistant, Helen, brought me the diet meal my nutritionist had prepared and quietly asked, "Sis, did you see the recent schedule I sent you yesterday?" Didn't get a chance, I'll look now. I took out my tablet and looked closely, then frowned. When did I sign up for a dating show? Helen quickly explained, this was Layla's idea. Layla is my agent. The head of the agency I signed with has a connection with my mom, so I've always had good opportunities. Layla often lamented that Diana, a rising star who debuted around the same time as me, was already a list. If I hadn't gotten married and had a baby, going semi-retired for 2 years, I would definitely be even hotter than her now. I called her, "I know you're in a hurry, but you can't just take any job for me. I'm an actress, I should focus on my work." What's with a dating show? Layla sounded exasperated. Don't you get the nature of this show? This is a top variety show director's first attempt at a live, mature dating show with celebrities and top non-celebrities from various industries. You should know that every celebrity who's been on his show has exploded in popularity. It's less a dating show and more a capital screening pool. I know you only want to act, but you need to get famous first, otherwise, who's going to buy tickets? Diana, you and I were always compared, and you actually had an edge over her before. But now? The entertainment industry is a fast-paced, cutthroat business. Plenty of people are trying to get in. If you don't grab it, someone else will. This time, the celebrity guests include Diana, Jason, and the CEO of C Corporation, Tom, a famous lawyer. I looked up. Wait, did you say Tom? Layla was also surprised, right? Someone like him is actually coming on a dating show. I heard he and Diana were childhood friends, and he's apparently coming for her. She only knew I had an arranged marriage but didn't know Tom was my ex-husband. When I was 8 months pregnant, my mom flew back to visit me, and we were accidentally photographed by paparazzi while out to eat. That's how my secret marriage was exposed, and I got a lot of hate for it. After that, to protect William, I was extra careful and never easily revealed my private life. I closed my eyes and thought. I never paid much attention to Tom's relationships before, but I did somewhat know that he and Diana had a connection. Diana and I were in the same drama at the time. I was the lead, and she was the second lead. That historical drama was what made me famous. Once, Tom seemed to have visited Diana on set, and I overheard some staff gossiping. Later, after Tom and I got married, I saw Diana again at Tom's grandmother's house. His grandmother and Diana were very close and affectionate, and she really liked her as a younger relative. Back then, I wasn't interested in his private life. Whether he liked Diana or not was irrelevant to me. But now it's different. Layla was still rambling, but I interrupted her, popping a sweet, crispy cookie into my mouth. I'm doing this dating show. Control your calories, don't eat those. What did you say? I smiled slightly. I said I'm going. On the show, Tom and I weren't surprised to see each other. Our eyes met, and we just politely nodded. Once everyone arrived, the first segment was introductions. Following the order of appearance, after Leo, the lawyer, and Chloe, the top beauty influencer, introduced themselves, it was Jason's turn. He smiled at the camera. I'm a bit of a multi-hyphenate. Besides being an actor and singer, I'm also the owner of a streetwear brand, and I've opened my own hot pot restaurant and dessert shop. Jason is truly a talented and versatile star. I definitely have to support him. A t-shirt for $1,000, a bag of bread for 108? You're the master of ripping people off, huh? Why are you so bitter? If fans can afford it, they'll buy it. You wish you could rip people off, but no one even cares about you. It's finally airing. I'm so excited. I've shipped Jason and Diana before, and the Jason and Diana fan club. Who is Jason here for? Do we even need to guess? A love-struck celeb who got married and had a baby at the peak of her career, versus a career woman who became an A-list actress on her own. Who would a normal person like? So hard to guess. Back then, the historical romance drama Phoenix Journey, starring Jason and me, skyrocketed in popularity as soon as it aired. Later, he partnered with Diana for a modern romance, Heaven Sent Love, which also became a huge hit. After that, he received endless variety show invitations, released songs, held concerts, gaining immense popularity and attention, and he became a hot male celebrity in the entertainment industry. Besides that, he was also very good at hyping up fan ships. During promotional events where they were together, he would constantly give hints to fan shippers through small details. Promoting a show was understandable, but in other situations where they should have been careful, his frequent intense gazes and instinctively reaching out and quickly pulling back his hand made many fan shippers call it heartbreaking and deeply romantic. Amidst the applause, I indeed caught a fleeting look of exasperation on Diana's politely smiling face. When it was Tom's turn, his introduction was brief and to the point. "Hi everyone, I'm Tom." Seeing he didn't plan to say more, Diana quickly jumped in. "Hi everyone, I'm actress Diana. I hope we all have a pleasant month together." The two of them, one after another, made everyone in the comments go wild. Tom must be here for our Diana. I heard they're childhood friends, but Diana is career-focused, so Tom didn't want to make things awkward and never confessed. Quite a contrast to a certain actress, huh? In real life, a CEO only likes a woman who's his equal. No need to put one down to elevate the other, is there? Did Jasmine's marriage dig up your family grave? Besides, she didn't completely give up her career, she just took 2 years off. Since her comeback, she's been very hardworking and professional. No one who's worked with her has anything bad to say. Is it possible she got divorced and came back to the entertainment industry to make money? She never learns. Instead of focusing on acting, she comes on a dating show. This lady can't live without a man, TSK TSK. You can say whatever you want, but be careful not to get muted. Posts criticizing her always disappear quickly, no idea what kind of connections she has. Are you furious that she has good resources? You call Jason, who only latches onto actresses for hype, a talented artist, but then you tear down actresses who haven't done anything wrong. Your love for women is a lie. Is it just me? I always think Tom's voice sounds a lot like the parenting influencer I follow. After I finished my introduction, the director looked at the surging comments, his face practically beaming. The guests were all carefully selected by him, each with their own buzz, so no matter who ended up with whom, it would generate immense popularity. After all, audiences love this kind of drama. We moved into the same beachfront villa, and soon, the first date arrived. The production team had a black box containing gifts from the male guests, and the 3 female guests decided the picking order themselves. Diana was the first to raise her hand, politely and hesitantly looking at Chloe and me. "Can I pick first?" She's so generous and straightforward, she goes for what she wants. I wonder if Diana wants to pick the quietly devoted childhood friend or the perfectly matched new arrival. So excited. Please let her pick Tom. No, I want my Jason and Diana. Who wouldn't want to pick first? This isn't really fair to the other female guests, is it? Diana asked for their opinion. If they didn't agree they could just say so. Why can't she be open about it? Chloe and I exchanged glances and smiled, nodding in agreement. She's very emotionally intelligent. There didn't seem to be any romantic interest in the male guests in her eyes, just enthusiasm for gaining followers. It doesn't matter who picks first, since this date is called telepathy. I chimed in, then let's play rock paper scissors later. That fits the show's title, Love is in the Air. The atmosphere instantly lightened, and everyone smiled with relief. Diana stood in front of the black box, took a deep breath, and reached her hand inside. She held her breath, feeling around for a long time, then suddenly her lips curved up, and her eyes crinkled with a smile. The comments went silent at that moment. Everyone watched intently as she slowly pulled her hand out. A few seconds later, she pulled out a square, delicate box. She looked closely, and her expression slightly stiffened. I recognized it at once. It was Jason's new physical album. OMG, this is hilarious. A male celebrity on a first date gives the woman his own album. How narcissistic can you get? What's the difference between this and giving her his own photo album? He'd dare to give it, I wouldn't even dare to look. This vinyl record is super expensive, okay? It's being resold for tens of thousands now, we can't even buy it. Such a heartfelt gift is becoming your laughingstock. Exactly. As a fan, I'm crying tears of joy. If he gave me one, I'd marry him on the spot. Hello? Does a female celebrity care about this? Don't you know how bad your idol sings? I think it's even too gross to wipe your butt with. I don't care, my ship is real. If we weren't professionals, it would have been hard to keep a straight face. I secretly pinched myself to keep from smiling. Diana quickly regained her composure, showing it off with a fake smile for the camera. It's a very thoughtful gift, I really like it, thank you. Subtext, it's disgusting, I'm throwing it in the trash when I get home. Speechless. You want it but can't get it, stop being so sour, haters. As Diana, with a heavy heart, headed off to the date location, guided by staff, Chloe and I took turns picking after playing rock paper scissors. Chloe chose a delicate little fox figurine. The normal gift made her smile more genuinely. I went last and pulled out a jasmine flower snow globe. I was momentarily stunned. Who was this gift really for? Once in the car, I looked out the window, my heart not as calm as I appeared. On one hand, I was anxious about the controversial nature of the gift. What if it wasn't from him, or not for me? On the other, I harbored a secret hope, just like the name of this date, wishing we truly had telepathy. It wasn't until I got out of the car and saw that all too familiar figure. It was like dropping a small stone into a lake, creating ripple after ripple. We looked at each other across the breeze, both moving closer. But with every step, the warmth on my face intensified. It felt like our first proper one-on-one date. I was so nervous my palms were sweating, and I almost dropped the snow globe. Tom's steady, low voice came from above me. Jasmine, it's nice to see you here. I secretly adjusted my breathing before looking up, regaining my composed demeanor for the camera. Mr. C, it's nice to see you too. Meeting his deep eyes, my heart seemed to burn for a moment. I quietly shifted my gaze to the snow globe in my hand. I wanted to know its true owner but was afraid that if the answer was unpleasant, I wouldn't be able to respond gracefully, and the gossip sites would have a field day. Even if I was upset, I'd have to vent at home. I couldn't lose composure on camera. Besides, I'd find out eventually, no need to rush it now. After a moment of thought, I just said politely and subtly, this snow globe is beautiful. Thank you for the gift. Tom paused, then replied equally politely, you're welcome. Ugh, Tom's disappointment is practically overflowing. It was clearly a gift for Diana, but now it's in someone else's hands. I hope Jasmine knows to stay away from our Diana's childhood friend. LOL, you might as well try to patent Tom, I'm giving that line right back to you guys. Since they're on a dating show, every guest has the right to get to know each other. It's okay to ship, but no need to be so hateful towards other female guests. Agreed, and these two clearly don't have any feelings for each other, they're just polite. You can all move along. We walked side by side through the streets of the harbor city, always keeping about half a meter apart. We didn't even try to make conversation, just talked about the local culture and sights. So, the Diana and Tom shippers breathed a sigh of relief. They determined it was pure business, with no romantic sparks whatsoever, and disbanded. But when we passed through the food street, we naturally turned in. Tom knew my taste so well that he didn't even need a glance. he was already lining up at the stalls I found interesting. I remembered my agent's warning and hesitated. But Tom seemed to read my mind, chuckling softly. Just have a little bit of everything, you won't get fat. I nodded vigorously, you're right. Why do these two strangely feel like an old married couple? Stop forcing it. They literally did nothing but walk around. If they have even an ounce of chemistry after avoiding each other like this, I'll eat my keyboard. Not necessarily. Jasmine once said in an interview that in her free time, she likes to wander aimlessly through unfamiliar streets. So I think Tom is probably really her fan. You fans are delusional, okay? A CEO, ignoring a rich heiress, and falling in love with a divorced mom with a kid? Yeah, and I think Jasmine is too dramatic. Stop trying to fake a tiny appetite, okay? Are you okay? She's an actress. Is it wrong for her to manage her figure? But their conversations are always meaningful and smart. I actually quite enjoy watching them. Is Tom really not William's dad? His voice sounds just like him. After dinner, we were getting ready to head back. Passing by a toy store, I saw a fighter jet model building set through the display window. William loves watching military channels, so he'd probably be interested in this set. I instinctively turned to Tom and asked, "Do you think our son would like it?" Seeing the camera, I quickly caught myself and clarified, "I want to buy a set for my son and wanted your input." The warm light in the store illuminated his profile, making it look incredibly soft. Tom looked at me intently. He'll like it. I looked away but couldn't help but smile faintly. These two have no chance. The woman brought up her son on the first date, which is clearly a sign of rejection. No chance is best. It's like Tom would even look at her. These two are impossible to ship, unlike the other couple, their interactions are so sweet. Yes, I'm absolutely sure Jason is here for Diana. Good-looking guy, beautiful girl, I approve of this match. Are you okay? Diana is practically being sabotaged by Jason, do you know that? Jason sending his own album is one thing, but he even put a record player there for her to listen. Did he even consider Diana's feelings? First time I actually got Jason's acting. You can tell at a glance his affection is faked. No shyness towards the girl he supposedly likes, only admiration for his terrible singing and a desperate clinginess to hype a ship. He's really, I'm gonna throw up. Yeah, Diana just looked at the ocean on the cruise ship. She didn't dare to make eye contact with Jason at all, afraid he'd come up with another dirty trick any second, lol. When we got back to the villa entrance, we bumped into Diana, who looked exhausted but was still trying to maintain her polite smile. Her expression flickered when she saw Tom and me standing together, but she quickly resumed smiling when the camera panned over, though it looked somewhat forced. Though it was a subtle change in expression, it convinced me that she wasn't completely indifferent to Tom. That night's live stream generated countless iconic moments. The most talked about and controversial pair was Jason and Diana. Their fan shippers and individual fans were clashing fiercely, and the show went viral with unprecedented buzz. The next day, the number of live viewers hit a new high. Unexpectedly, besides the fan groups and casual observers, a cult following for Tom and my ship emerged. This was largely thanks to Diana's fans, who had stayed up all night editing a dramatic childhood friends torn apart video that went viral. Then, someone else edited our date video, meticulously analyzing our micro-expressions. Those who didn't know the full story called it so sweet, while those who had watched the show cried blasphemy, and the comments section became chaotic once again. This week's challenge was a flag-pulling game. It was divided into male and female teams. The winners would earn the privilege of inviting a desired member of the opposite sex to dinner. When the director announced the rules, I felt a gaze on me. I turned my head and met Tom's eyes. I caught a fleeting look of concern in them. When he saw me looking, he shifted his gaze, revealing the smooth, chiseled lines of his profile. I unconsciously touched the heating pad on my lower abdomen. This morning, I'd found a pack of heating pads and a box of brown sugar ginger tea outside my door. Only Tom knew about my period. That's when I noticed he was wearing a gray casual outfit today, looking relaxed and laid back, like a college student. When we were married, I was used to seeing him in suits, so this look was surprisingly fresh. I couldn't help but glance at him a few more times, especially how his Adam's apple looked particularly sexy when he swallowed. My mind started to wander. Minor details from my memory that I hadn't paid attention to before suddenly became crystal clear. In the dim light, his sweat-beaded forehead, his chest covered in angry red marks, and his burning palms. Leo, the lawyer standing next to him, cleared his throat, snapping me out of my ill-timed thoughts. When I looked over, he waved at me, suppressing the playful smirk on his lips, as if he'd seen right through me. My face inexplicably flushed, and I also chose to look away. Diana and Jason being paired up again sent the fan shippers into a collective frenzy. Once the competition started, I decided to take it easy for my own well-being. Diana, however, was unusually competitive, bursting with surprising strength, her eyes fixed only on victory. Diana isn't even bothering with her expressions anymore, she just wants to pull flags. You can tell she's suffering with Jason and just wants to switch partners. Anyone with eyes can see they enjoyed that date. It's a two-way street, they're clearly into each other. Exactly. Jason's eyes never left Diana. Oh my God, I'm eating so well. Anyone with eyes is not taking the blame, this is pure blindness, the untreatable kind. Don't jinx it, you'll see who she picks later. Anyway, I'm rooting for Jason and Diana. Stay away. Our childhood sweethearts are the real deal. In the men's group, Tom took the lead effortlessly. After all, he had a long-standing habit of working out, and his muscles were firm and strong, not just for show. Nearing the finish line, Leo seemed to shout something at him. But I was too far away to hear clearly. Then, something unexpected happened. To everyone's shock, Tom suddenly turned and ran towards me, his face tense. He stopped in front of me, wanting to reach out but stopping himself, and then he seriously looked me over from head to toe. I was confused and stiff, and asked dryly, "What's wrong?" He finally relaxed, letting out a soft sigh. "I thought you were hurt. Good thing you're okay." Meanwhile, the victorious Leo's eyes were crinkled in a smile, like a cunning old fox whose plan had worked. What is happening? So what did Leo say? The camera was too far to record it, I'm dying to know. No way, is the crazy ship actually real? I'm shocked. Leo must have tricked him by saying a female guest was hurt, and he instinctively turned back. But shouldn't his first reaction have been Diana? Why did he run straight to Jasmine? He saw Diana and Chloe were fine, so it could only be Jasmine. He just went to check out of politeness. Yep, that must be it. No one knew what Leo had said. Only the director and staff nearby suddenly widened their eyes, as if they'd discovered a huge secret. A few seconds later, he burst into laughter. This is amazing. I knew this show was a good idea. By evening, only Jason and I were left at the villa. Diana and Leo had exercised their earned privilege after winning the flag game. Tom and Chloe, as invited guests, were currently having dinner with them. When I went downstairs to get some water, I happened to spot Jason sitting alone on the sofa, head bowed. The main lights were off, with only a dim floor lamp on, making his figure appear isolated and melancholic. Under the staff's subtle gazes, I instantly realized whose little trick this was. He's so good at creating atmosphere, it's a shame he's not a set designer. I bet the comments section was probably full of pity for him right now. Jason noticed me, raised his gloomy eyes, and forced a smile as he greeted me. I couldn't escape, so I walked over to him, feigning surprise. "Jason, did you fall asleep on the couch?" He gave a fragile smile. "No, I just wanted some quiet time. Yesterday's date was so fun, I can't believe she picked someone else today." Jason took a deep breath. "I just feel a bit off." I knew he wanted to project an image of deep devotion and loyalty, but it was too much. This was live, and there was no taking back what he said, yet he managed to utter such obvious, trash-talking nonsense. His irrational fans would feel sorry for him and attack Diana, which would lead to another storm of drama and really hurt his public image. I maintained a gentle demeanor. Since it's a dating show, it's necessary for every guest to get to know each other. That's being responsible for your own feelings and others, too. It's only the first date, take your time, no need to rush. Jason's face stiffened for a moment, then he nodded, putting on a look of acceptance. You're right, I was too hasty. I'll take my time. After a few more polite pleasantries, I quickly made an excuse to go back to my room. Jason's sincerity is wasted, Diana isn't worth it. Now I think Jasmine is pretty good. Is the Jason and Jasmine ship dead? Jasmine, I thought I gave you credit. This jerk still has the nerve to act gloomy, huh? If you hadn't seen the first episode, you might actually feel sorry for him. He deliberately pretends to be a victim to make fans criticize actresses he's worked with. Classic Jason move. Always playing the free-spirited boy persona, but I think you're the most manipulative one. Speechless, I was looking forward to the evening date all afternoon, but she turned around and picked someone else. Can't our Jason even be sad for a bit? Your TV drama ship is a thing of the past. Now it's our childhood sweetheart's time. I was already annoyed seeing Tom on a date with someone else, and then running into that fake drama queen while getting water just made it worse. Diana was interested in Tom, so was he really there for her? The thought of them potentially being a two-way street made my heart sink. I just put on an eye mask and went to bed early. I never imagined that with the added effect of the live stream and the contrast, my high EQ comments would unexpectedly win me 3 waves of fans. One wave was casual fans who thought I was a classy person. Another wave was Jason's fans, who praised my thoughtfulness while also subtly criticizing Diana. The most unexpected were Diana's fans. My objective and rational comments made them think my character was pretty good, and some even apologized for having criticized me before. And while I was in a deep sleep, several trending topics quietly topped the charts. Diana and Tom beach date. Diana, Jason, Tom date expression comparison. Diana blushes childhood sweethearts are real. Jasmine health conscious. A few minutes later, a trending topic quickly climbed to number 1, followed by a huge hot tag. Tom mentions his son Diana says she likes kids. Things seem to have suddenly gone haywire overnight. Diana completely changed her usual cautious and reserved approach. She openly expressed her admiration and interest in Tom, actively seeking opportunities to talk to him. Jason, after hitting several walls with her, either got angry or decided to try to fan ship with someone else. He latched onto me. Jasmine is too polite. I already want to slap him. She's rejected him so obviously, but he's still trying to force a ship with her. Jason, listen, pack your bags and leave these past 2 days. Jason doesn't seem real. How about this, I'll feed him some rat poison. If he dies, he's a rat. Hard to say. He was so devoted to Diana a few days ago, I almost got emotional. Now he's just copy-pasting that to Jasmine. What's real anymore? If Diana can switch partners, why can't our Jason? Besides, Jason doesn't even care that Jasmine is divorced with a kid. What right does she have to reject him? Tom is also divorced with a kid, and he keeps politely rejecting Diana. You guys say he's insecure and afraid to respond, and you go crazy shipping the bright female celebrity with the humble husband. But when it comes to Jasmine, she should be grateful. She's rich and beautiful, she could get married 80 times and it wouldn't be your greasy idol's turn. I suddenly have a very wild theory. Jasmine and Tom both have sons, and Tom's voice sounds especially like William's dad. William's dad hasn't updated his videos this week, so could their sons be the same? That's too crazy. Only Chloe and Leo seem to be getting to know each other more deeply since their first date, and their relationship was steadily warming up. I lay in a rocking chair under a straw hut on the beach, sipping juice and trying to sort out Diana and Tom's relationship. From what I observed, they hadn't had any intimate gestures in public these past few days. He still treated Diana with politeness and a clear sense of boundaries. It was as if that night was just a simple dinner. But Tom was always a proper person, so perhaps this was just to be considerate of my feelings as his plastic ex-wife. Maybe they were making out behind the scenes. I recalled my original reason for joining this show. Scenario 1, Tom doesn't like anyone, he's just lonely and wants to find a partner on the show. Then Diana and I can compete fairly. Once I make up my mind, I'm not the type to back down. Plus, I have the advantage. We have a child, that's one win. We were married for 2 years, still didn't know each other, so there's a sense of novelty, that's 2 wins. I have 2 wins, making it 3 wins. Scenario 2, Tom and Diana are a two-way street, and he came on the show for her. I didn't interact much with Diana normally, so I could observe her character during the show. If she's a good person, then I don't have to worry about William being mistreated. Otherwise, I'd have to make other plans for my child. Scenario 3, the most narcissistic scenario, he has a crush on me. The thought almost made me smile. No matter the scenario, it seemed like there was no downside for me. So, I decided to take the initiative and test the waters. Just as I was about to get up, Jason's face appeared above me. Did I scare you? He chuckled and sat right next to me. I subtly pulled away. Jason, what are you doing here? He looked at me with those charming, deep eyes, his hand casually resting on the back of my lounge chair. How about a different name? You can call me Jay. All my close friends. I put on my professional fake smile and changed the subject. Did you come all this way to find me for something? He shyly scratched the back of his head, showing just the right amount of boyish awkwardness. I think you were right that night. Since we're on a dating show, we should interact and get to know the other guests more. I twitched my lips. That's nice. He pressed his lips together and looked at me, his Adam's apple bobbing. So, Jasmine, the director said it's time to gather. Hearing Tom's interruption, I felt a sense of relief and stood up. Jason, let's go. Jasmine, wait, it's too sunny. Use my jacket to block the sun, okay? Hearing that nickname, Tom looked at him, his voice calm. No need, I brought a parasol. Jason looked at his almost gentle expression, but it was as if his throat had been squeezed, and his movement to take off his jacket froze. Leo caught up from behind, chuckling as he patted his shoulder. Didn't you say you wanted to meet other people? We have new guests today, excited? Jason gave a dry laugh, excited. Let's go. Tom opened his umbrella, tilting most of it towards me naturally and expertly, then turned his head to look at me. His expression remained calm, but I keenly sensed the shift in his emotions. He was angry. The last time I saw him angry was when a business partner's son injured William's forehead during a toy dispute. The child refused to apologize, and the business partner indulged him, saying it was just kids playing. Tom, with a gentle expression, had them politely escorted out, then immediately announced the termination of all collaborations with that company, without any room for negotiation. I met his deep gaze, and suddenly I wanted to say something. Thank you for coming to get me. I'm really happy. Tom paused, then curved his lips. You're welcome. Am I still dreaming? My eyesight isn't great, but was that Tom and Jason fighting over me just now? This world is crazy. Rats are becoming bridesmaids for cats. Did I really miss a few episodes? There's this absurd feeling of 2 completely unrelated people suddenly wearing each other's pants one day. Every time I see them, they seem polite and formal, but there's always an indescribable sense of ambiguity. My sixth sense is always right. Holding an umbrella doesn't mean anything, it's just a gentlemanly act. Don't overthink it. When I changed my clothes and was about to go downstairs to meet the new guests, someone suddenly grabbed my wrist. Before I could react, he led me into a corner storage room with no cameras. I pressed against the door, and that feeling of not knowing where to look came over me again. His familiar subtle scent slowly invaded my nostrils, like a virus, reaching my heart through my surging blood, making it tremble and convulse. The noisy sounds from outside gradually faded, and the overly close proximity between us made it hard for me to breathe. A burning heat quickly spread from my face throughout my body. I had never felt such an agonizing yet wonderful sensation before. Tom looked down at me. Perhaps seconds passed, or perhaps centuries, and finally, I heard his voice. "Your collar button is undone." I suddenly looked up, disbelieving. "You brought me here just to tell me that?" Tom's eyes flashed with confusion and bewilderment. He paused, then honestly nodded. I burst into laughter without any reason. Shame and anger instantly surged to my head, drowning out my rationality. I took a step forward.